Hey everybody, this is Austin Hill Shaw, founder of Creativity Matters and author of The Shoreline of Wonder on Being Creative. Right now, I'm outside of East High School in Denver, Colorado. And this was not my official high school that I went to. It's interesting. My grandfather went here for a brief period of time, and my father graduated from this school. And I was officially a student at a school called Manual High School, which is to the northwest over here. But I had the option as a student at Manual to take classes at East, and actually played on a lacrosse team that was a combination of Manual students and East school. We called it East Manual Lacrosse. And anyways, so there was a reason that I took most of my classes over here at East High School, and that is for one specific reason. I found the high school itself to be totally beautiful. I loved this environment way more than I liked the environment at Manual. And again, it wasn't that Manual was a bad school at the time. It was actually quite a good school when I was going there. And yet there was something about the aesthetics of this place that totally inspired me. And as many of you know, I'm trained as an architectural designer. I still work as a designer today. And so there was probably an inherent sense of like me being drawn to the structure just because I've always been interested in design on some levels, and also in beauty and order. And so for me to be over in this place was just a way that I felt inspired. I enjoyed being in my classes more simply because you can see they had these high windows, there's beautiful light coming in, and even the structure itself was inspiring. It was interesting because in the mid-2000s, I was at a Barnes & Noble bookstore, and I was at the checkout, and there's a New Yorker magazine sitting on the stand there, and it said the worst high school in the United States. And intuitively I thought, gosh, I wonder if that's Manual, because I know that Manual had some difficulties. And sure enough, I opened it up and it said the worst high school in the United States, Manual High School in Denver, Colorado, a whole big article on it. Now, it wasn't because of the teachers necessarily. It was simply because there's a huge demographic shift that happened, and there's a big community of Latinos that was moving in. And there's problems with not only poverty, but also with a language barrier. And there's families that are trying to make ends meet who are pulling their students out of class, and therefore that caused a problem. This is nothing against the Latino community. As I've probably told you before, Latin culture was one of the things that saved my life. I can share that story some other time. But it was interesting just to see how this big shift happened, that suddenly the high school started to go downhill in a certain way, simply because people trying to make ends meet were pulling their students out of class who already had language barriers and weren't able to, they weren't able to have a cohesiveness of the education there. But at the same time, in the back of my mind is that, again, Manual was a good institution, but it wasn't a beautiful institution. It definitely looks almost like kind of a ribbon of brick, but low compressed brick. There wasn't a lot of like nice spaces to hang out there when I was, not like this big esplanade that was running along here with lots of trees and things of that sort. And so for me, I mean, there's lots of reasons that's what happened to Manual. But in the back of my mind, it's like, okay, one of the reasons is it just wasn't as beautiful a school. And as human beings, we want to be surrounded by beauty. We want to be inspired by the environments that we're in. And if we're in sort of an institutionalized place that doesn't feel particularly inspiring, it's actually going to thwart our ability to learn. And so this is a challenge to the planners, the designers, the educators out there. What can we do to beautify the schools that are there already? And as we plan for the new groups of the growing population, what can we do in order to help the new schools come in, continue to have this sense of light, sense of this inspiration and beauty? It's interesting right now in Denver, there's a huge boom going on. Something like 30,000 people are moving to this area, the Denver metropolitan area, every day. And so it's a big challenge right now. And with a growing population worldwide, how can we continue to educate people in a way that is inspiring and brings forth their creativity? And so from you, what I would like to hear is I would love to hear about your own experiences of going through the educational system, whether it was public, whether it was private, and what were some of the things that helped bring out your innate creativity, and even the opposite, what are some of the things that may have thwarted your ability as a creator as when you were going through the education system? I'd love to hear about that. Please put that in the comment sections below this video. If you're not on my website, go to www.austinhillshaw.com and leave me a comment there. And you know, there's all kinds of resources that you can check out, some pertaining to education, some pertaining to art and business, science and religion, and even science, religion, and technology. All those different categories are in there. There's creativity in everything. And just before I leave, it was, you know, I remember getting that article. I called my best friend William and I said, William, I want you to know that you have the distinct honor of having gone to and graduated from the worst high school in the United States. So anyways, I know it was kind of funny at the time, but of course the reality of that was pretty sad. We want people to have the best education possible because we live in an incredibly complex society, and education is really important. And from my point of view, the most important thing that we can teach students is not necessarily the accumulation of knowledge, but how to think creatively. Because when you can think creatively, when you can tap into your innate creativity, it doesn't matter what situation you find yourself in, you can always draw upon the best of what it means to be human. And that means be able to open up, to gain insights, to connect with the world, and to affect it in a meaningful way. And so again, that's another challenge to people out there. What can we do in order so that we can promote more creativity in the classroom? I have my ideas about it, but I'd love to hear yours. So again, this is Austin Hill Shaw, founder of Creativity Matters and author of The Shoreline of Wonder, reminding you to connect deeply, to make a difference, and to inspire creativity in others. Thank you so much for joining me.